Recently I discovered a brand new concert here on YouTube, 90 minutes of Abba's songs reimagined with classical arrangements for orchestra and two female singers. I was blown away, and it got me thinking, how close is Abba's artistry to classical music? Let's dive into this rarely discussed subject and into the intriguing sophistication of Abba's music. Hey. So, it's in their music, it's in their voices. Throughout the years, even decades, Abba made an impeccable progression in their music of fusing pop and classical, even from the very early beginnings all the way to their reunion with Voyage. In this video, we will see how delicately Abba fused their sensibility for pure pop with classical musicality. We will also hear more about the often unsung heroes who were so important for Abba and their classical infusions, and we will notice several times how important Johann Sebastian Bach was for classical music and Abba. The very beginning of this unique blend of pop and classical came even long before Björn and Benny were working together. It was already there on their individual projects. In 1966, Benny Andersson composed only his second original composition ever, and already then he drew inspiration from classical music and Baroque pop. This is Sunny Girl. The piano version reveals beautifully what Benny himself admitted, that this piece of music, for Benny's first band before Abba the Hepstars, was heavily influenced by classical music. The same for his next composition, Wedding. At the same time, Björn's band before Abba, the Hootenanny Singers, recorded their version of Sunny Girl, and 2 years later they recorded an entire album, their 7th album, fusing folk style with classical music. This album features songs by Carl Michael Bellman, a central Swedish songwriter and poet from the 18th century, who has been compared to Beethoven or Mozart. The album was engineered by Abba's future engineer Michael B. Tretow, and the songs were arranged and adapted by Björn Ulvaeus together with Sven Olof Waldorf. Sven Olof Waldorf became an important key figure for Abba's first 4 albums, creating unforgettable string arrangements for the songs I Am Just a Girl, Honey Honey, Mamma Mia, and Dancing Queen. In 1973, Abba released their first album, and here is a piano cover version of one of the most beautiful songs from their early works, I think, Another Town, Another Train. Listen how it brings forward this incredible composition. Someone wrote, "The soulful, mournful beauty of even these throwaway songs show the deep brilliance of Andersson's compositional genius, the ability to extrude such pathos from even major key modulations in particular has a Bach-like quality. It's as if he's writing secular cantatas." When it comes to his influences from classical music, Benny has always been a huge admirer of the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. And there is no denying that he infused it in his own composing and playing, and made it unique into Abba's trademark. To quote Carl Magnus Palm, the way Benny played keyboards, often with classical flourishes, was such a distinctive feature of Abba's music. Already in the early and mid-70s, albums were dedicated to the music of Björn and Benny and Abba, featuring their music with classical arrangements. The first one was released in 1972 by Sven Olof Waldorf's Orchestra, 12 songs written by Björn and Benny, Every track has a short comment by Stig Andersson on the back of the sleeve. Another instrumental release came in 1975. Arthur Greenslade and his orchestra play the best of Abba. This was one of the first international ABBA-related releases. The artwork even shows ABBA themselves, and the album contained several covers of ABBA songs from their first 3 albums in big band, easy listening style with jazz influences, as well as 3 early Björn and Benny compositions, 2 songs for Lena Andersson, and the title song from their album Lycka. The album was executive produced by Stig Andersson, so we can see how important Stig was in further establishing the compositions by Björn and Benny and the music by ABBA. He really believed in them as songwriters. And here's something really curious. In the very same year, 1975, Björn and Benny recorded an English language demo version of Lycka called To Live With You. This one has only Benny on piano, again beautifully classical influenced, and a terrific lead vocal by Björn. It was probably considered for ABBA's 3rd album, That's My Theory, but nothing came of it, and more importantly, the demo recording was only first released in 2006 as a bonus track on the CD version of Lycka. But on this instrumental album from 1975, The Best of ABBA, that song is already featured with the English title To Live With You. Fascinating, isn't it? The album was released in April 1975, the same month when ABBA's 3rd album was released. And that 3rd album, ABBA, brings us to possibly the most brilliant classical venture of ABBA themselves. They recorded and released their one and only entirely instrumental song, Intermezzo No. 1. Even ABBA's studio musicians back then were blown away by the combination of pop and classical music, by the irregularity of the composition. No parts of it are repeated in quite the same way. The song started live as the Bach tune, one more nod to Benny's hero. As Carl Magnus Palm points out, the final title, Intermezzo, was more directly connected to the terminology used in classical music, referring to compositions that are so-called independent character pieces. Even the mix of the recording itself has that feeling of a concert hall, the nature of a semi-classical piano concerto. A similar instrumental was recorded 2 years later in 1977, but never released at the time. Carl Magnus Palm wrote this instrumental was a rock classical number that could possibly have been retitled Intermezzo No. 2. It was provisionally called Scaramouche. In 1994, on this box set Thank You for the Music, ABBA released 23 minutes of unreleased outtakes as part of the medley ABBA Undeleted. And the opening song of that medley was Scaramouche. Unfortunately only 50 seconds, but it gives us an idea that even in 1977 ABBA could have released this symphonic rock number as Intermezzo No. 2. The year before, ABBA released their 4th album, Arrival, and the title track became their second and final song without lyrics, an epic hymn with roots in Swedish folk music. On the same album, ABBA went dramatic and theatrical with Money, 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 and they explored more classical elements in the song My Love, My Life, drenched in rich string arrangements. This was the first time that ABBA's ingenious bass player Rutger Gunnarsson created string arrangements for ABBA, and he would do so for the rest of ABBA's career. Even stripped back to its piano form, My Love, My Life reveals Benny's tenderness and tendency to classical music.
When it comes to ABBA, I'm sure that it has to do with that we're Swedish. There's an element of something in what we've been doing that you don't find if you go to the Anglo-Saxon world. in the US or England. I don't know what it is, if it's melancholy or if it's the tradition we have here, classical music.
When Abba performed Dancing Queen in 1976 for Sweden's King and Queen, Abba was the only pop act on an event which largely consisted of classical and opera music. In 1993, Dancing Queen was arranged into a uniquely classical version for the soundtrack of Muriel's wedding. And now, just a few weeks ago, the German TV channel WDR and the WDR Funkhaus Orchestra released a 90-minute concert of classical Abba. The song selection and arrangements are so intriguing. Some of my highlights are One of Us, The Winner Takes It All, Mamma Mia going into Gimme 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 A Man After Midnight, or the beautiful introduction to Honey Honey. They even performed Abba's comeback song Don't Shut Me Down, terrifically performed by the orchestra and the two female singers.
A while ago I heard the sound of children's laughter. Now it's quiet, so I guess they left the park.
In 2021, Abba released their 9th studio album. Abba's blend to symphony is probably most beautifully done on their final album, Voyage. But the road was long. Next time we will explore Abba's ongoing quest of pushing the boundaries of pop orchestration. It will also bring us to one of their most captivating features, the voice of Abba, Frida and Agneta. What do you think of Abba's fusion of genres, especially of classical music? What do you think about Abba Classical, the reimagining for orchestra, for instrumental albums and concerts, and all the intriguing connections along the way? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this new video, and I can't wait for part 2 very soon. Alright, until then, hej då!